Yeah, so my father passed away of motor neurone disease about 5 years ago now. It's an awful illness, and I think that anyone that can raise awareness for it should, because it affects about the same amount of people as it does multiple sclerosis, but the prognosis for people with motor neurone disease is much shorter, so it doesn't tend to get the awareness that it has. You know, there's the famous people like the Stephen Hawkings and the like that suffer from it. That was a pretty difficult time because it all happened just before my final exam, so I've been preparing for 6 years to sit these, and having the opportunity to come down here and play my debut game. It was certainly a difficult time, but I think, as with all these things and people that have gone through difficult experiences, if you can get through it at the time, it becomes a character building experience and something that you can draw on when things are a bit tough or your back's against the wall later in life. So whilst it wasn't nice to go through, I think it's been brought our family closer together. It's been character building, and at the same time, I think that, you know, anything I can do to raise awareness for motor neuron disease or support people that are going through that process is all the better. I think if you spend your life caring for someone, you probably want to extend that and do it for a job, because it's something that you've grown up doing, and it's easy to do, and there's nothing better than getting paid to, you know, save someone's life. I think that's a no-brainer. You know, I'd do that any day. It's funny that in medicine that after a couple of years you become almost used to bad things happening, not in a way that it shouldn't be unexpected, but just in a way that, you know, there's life and death and people can be critically unwell, and you do your best, but there's also bad things that are happening every day in a hospital, just because that's how medicine is. But the real benefit of having gone through the experience that a lot of families go through is that you can talk with them at a very pragmatic level and tell them how it is, and come from that empathetic point where you really understand their suffering and what they're going through. So it does bring home what you're doing in your capacity as a doctor, because sometimes it's easy to forget that there is that person at the end of the bed who is going through a new diagnosis or suffering, and in your capacity as thinking through intellectually what you need to do for them, you can sometimes forget the real human side of the job, and I think my personal experiences keep me grounded in that sense. So before I made my debut, and it all just happened in a couple of weeks, I remember getting a call from Chris Brett, who's the captain and still is the captain. And I didn't really know her well at that time. I was, you know, very young, and she was a very senior player, I think, in the Australian setup at the time. And it meant a lot to have that support at the time. And cricket gave me something to do, something to focus my energies on, and they've been amazing. I think not just with me, but with everyone. It's a really nice group down here. It's definitely different to most professional setups, and it's more about the whole person experience and trying to make people better cricketers by being better people. And I think that's a really nice thing that the Cricket ACT have done, all the way from Mark Vigano, Andrew Dawson, and the previous coaches, you know, Martin Garoni, all the way down. Dad and Mum were never great cricketers. Dad played a lot of football and Mum was a swimmer, but my grandfather played a lot of first grade cricket. And I think when Dad was sick and he couldn't obviously drive us to sport, and Mum had 4 young children at home, cricket was a great way to, first of all, babysit us for you know, the whole Saturday morning, and she'd just take us to one ground. We were all very close in age, so my younger brothers would play up a level, and my older brother and I would play at the same age group level, and we'd all play on a Saturday morning together. So it was an easy way for Mum to get us all to sport, and the family always loved cricket. So I think that's why I ended up playing cricket. And I couldn't take any credit for Mum's strength. She is an absolute resilient person. I think if there epitomises resilience, I think she would be that person. She comes to all the games, actually. She's probably one of our number one fans, although I must say I think as soon as I get out, she sort of disappears and goes shopping a lot of the time. But nevertheless, she's pretty good. I think she enjoys coming to all the games. It's a nice way to travel Australia now, and my brothers come along every now and then, so it's been nice to have all the family coming along to the cricket games. I think getting the job in cardiology at St Vincent's for the next 3 years was probably as close to as a career goal as I could get it. You know, if I was to compare it to a cricket analogy, I think I've scored 100 there. You know, that's what I always wanted to do and achieve. From a cricketing sense, I've always wanted to play 100 National League games, and that's also coming up soon in a couple of rounds. With the format the way it is now, it's almost impossible to play 100 ODI games, but I sort of take the combined 2020 and ODI format. That's something that I'm really looking forward to. And then I scored 100 last year, and it's something that it all happened so quickly. I'd really love to do it again just to properly enjoy the feeling this time. I think when you get to 100, it all happens really quickly and you don't realise how much of an achievement it is. And if I could do it again, then I might be able to enjoy it more and celebrate it more. So I'd love to play 100 games. I'd love to see us as a team make the finals again this year. And personally, at the moment, I'm just focusing on being a consistent state cricketer and enjoying my role at the top of the order. And I think, when you do that, you get a lot of satisfaction out of the game, and whatever happens after that happens. Yeah, I have moments where I wake up and I think, I'm going to need a double shot coffee this morning. But I enjoy being out there still. I think if I didn't enjoy running around in the sun and, running between the wickets, hitting the ball, then it would be an easy decision for me that I could give the game away. But while I still enjoy playing and while I can, then there's no question I'll keep playing, if my body willing and injuries willing. But I enjoy both, and I think that, as long as I can manage the fatigue, then I'll keep playing. And I just want to say a huge thank you to the ACA. As an organisation, you couldn't meet a better bunch of people, and the support they give players, I've realised it, and whether the players realise it at the time when they're playing and focused on, on their cricket, they might not realise it straight away, but later on down the track, I think that, most players would just be so grateful to the ACA for what they've done, and I'm certainly realising that now. So thank you to the ACA, and thanks for the time for chatting to me.